A colossal starship on the brink of destruction. Human mechanic rebuilds it into a galactic weapon. The starship groaned like a wounded beast, sparks dancing from damaged conduits. Once, this vessel had been the pride of the interstellar coalition, a symbol of power, technology, and the human spirit, but now it drifted, crippled and silent, at the edge of the shattered nebula. Elias had no formal rank. He was not a soldier, not a commander, not even officially assigned to the ship. He was a mechanic, a human who could see potential where others only saw ruin. And right now, potential was all the Valkyrie had left. He moved carefully, helmet light cutting through the smoke and shadows. The once pristine hull was now pockmarked with alien energy burns, some so deep that the vacuum beyond was visible through shattered panels. Every step echoed against the hollow metal, a reminder that the ship was more grave than fortress. Then he heard it, muffled cries, human voices. He followed the sound to a collapsed maintenance bay, where a group of survivors huddled behind overturned equipment. Their faces were pale, eyes wide with fear. Some were wounded. Some were just frozen, staring at the damage as if the wreck could swallow them whole. "Hey," Elias called gently, kneeling beside them. "You're safe. I'm not one of them." A young engineer, no older than 20, peeked from behind a console. Who are you?" she asked. "Call me Elias," he said. "I fix things, I fix ships." The survivors exchanged wary glances. After the attack, trust was a luxury they couldn't afford. Yet something in Elias' calm confidence drew them closer. Above, the Valkyrie shuddered. A weak, distant alarm blinked feebly on a console, but most systems were offline. The AI, Athena, flickered across the screen in fractured code. Damage core, unstable survival probability, 0.03. Elias stared at the fragmented messages. Athena had always been one of the most advanced AI constructs in human history, capable of coordinating fleets, predicting enemy maneuvers, and maintaining ship operations. But even she was broken now. He muttered under his breath, "We might be the last chance this ship has." He pulled a small toolkit from his belt and moved to the hull breach near the engine room. The breach hissed as residual atmosphere leaked into space. Sparks danced around exposed conduits dangerously close to the reactor. One wrong move and the whole ship could become a floating tomb. Elias knelt, hands steady. He didn't have time for fear. Mechanics didn't fear, mechanics solved problems. He patched circuits, rerouted power, and replaced melted wiring with whatever scraps he could find. Every repair was a gamble. Every adjustment was a prayer. Hours passed, though time felt meaningless in the drifting void. Outside the reinforced observation windows, stars flickered like distant candles. The nebula loomed closer, a swirling mass of gas and debris, beautiful and deadly. Somewhere in that chaos lurked alien scouts, creatures that had torn the Valkyrie apart in seconds during the battle. And yet, amidst the fear and wreckage, Elias felt something else, the faint spark of hope. By dawn, what remained of the main engines hummed weakly. Enough to move, not enough to fight, but it was a start. He gathered the survivors in the command deck, which was mostly rubble. They sat around a battered hollow table, displaying maps and damage reports. Elias laid out his plan. "We're not just going to survive," he said firmly. "We're going to fight back, and this ship, it's going to be our weapon." Murmurs spread through the group. One of the older engineers shook his head. "You can't be serious. Look at it, look at this. It's a corpse in the vacuum." Elias' eyes locked onto the man. "It's only a corpse if we let it die, but we don't, we never do." He pulled up the ship's schematics on the hollow table. Broken systems blinked red. Alien energy burned scarred critical circuits. Most of the weapon systems were offline. And yet, Elias' eyes gleamed. "The aliens think they've won," he continued. "They destroyed our hull, they killed our fleet, they think we're weak, but they underestimated us. They underestimated humans." The survivors exchanged uncertain glances. Humans, could they really make a difference now? Elias tapped on the hologram, highlighting the main cannon and propulsion systems. We can rebuild, not just repair. Rebuild. Retrofit alien tech where we can, reroute power, optimize what remains. By the time they return, we won't just be alive, we'll be dangerous. A murmur of excitement rose. Fear was still there, yes, but it was mixing with determination. Survival instinct was turning into strategy. Athena's fragmented voice piped in, strangely coherent for a moment. Human logic viable. Even the AI thinks it's possible, Elias said, smiling faintly. But hope is a fragile thing in space. The Valkyrie shuddered again, and a red alert flashed across the damaged bridge. Sensors detected movement, alien scouts, small but fast, approaching the drifting giant. Looks like they've noticed us, Elias said, gripping the edge of the console. Time to see if humans can really turn a dead starship into a weapon. The first shots came from outside the hull, tiny plasma pulses bouncing harmlessly off the weakened shields. But the aliens were probing, testing, searching for weaknesses. Every pulse threatened further damage, every strike a reminder of how fragile the Valkyrie really was. Elias moved quickly, improvising on the fly. Using scrap metal and spare drone parts, he rigged a series of decoys along the hull, small devices that emitted energy signatures mimicking the ship's reactor. The aliens would strike them first, giving the survivors a chance to stabilize the ship. Then he turned his attention to the engines. The damage was severe. Any miscalculation and the Valkyrie would spin out of control into the nebula, crushed by gravitational turbulence or ripped apart by debris. He rerouted auxiliary power, taking engines that were barely functional and linking them to emergency cores scavenged from the cargo hold. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and for a moment he feared the worst. But then the engines roared to life, weak but real. The Valkyrie lurched forward, slowly, unstable but moving. Human ingenuity had done what technology alone could not. The alien scouts adjusted instantly, curious, aggressive, drawn to the life from the dead giant. For a tense moment, it looked like the Valkyrie would be cut to pieces before it could even escape. Elias grinned through the sweat and grime. "Not today," he muttered. The survivors scrambled to defensive positions, guided by Elias' commands. Improvised turrets spun into place, automated drones hovered in strategic locations, and the ship's remaining shields flared, powered by rerouted cores. It wasn't much, but it was something. The alien scouts opened fire again. Plasma blasts streaked across the hull. Sparks and molten metal flew, but the Valkyrie dodged, twisting unpredictably as if it had a mind of its own. Elias directed every movement, every defense, every countermeasure. Minutes felt like hours. Every second was a battle of wits, speed, and ingenuity. But slowly the alien scouts began to retreat, confused by the unpredictable human tactics. The Valkyrie, against all odds, survived the first test. Elias slumped against the console, breathing hard. The survivors stared in awe, fear giving way to cautious hope. "This is just the beginning," Elias said quietly. "We rebuild, we fight. And one day the galaxy will remember that humans don't just survive, they dominate." Athena's voice, now slightly more stable, whispered through the bridge. "Human determination, remarkable." Outside, the nebula swirled, hiding dangers yet unseen. But inside, a spark had ignited. The fallen giant was stirring. And its mechanic, the human who refused to see impossible, was ready to turn it into a weapon. The ardent Valkyrie drifted through the shattered nebula, its engines weak but functional, the human crew buzzing with cautious hope. Elias Marlowe moved through the corridors like a conductor directing an orchestra of chaos. Sparks still fell from damaged panels, and the occasional groan of twisted metal echoed through the ship. But every step Elias took was a step toward rebuilding the impossible. The survivors worked alongside him, improvising repairs, scavenging supplies, and learning to trust the unlikeliest of leaders. The once fractured crew now operated in synchrony, each person discovering new courage. Humans, Elias thought, were unpredictable, but that unpredictability was their greatest weapon. He led them to the cargo hold, a cavernous space that had survived the initial attack with relatively minor damage. Amid broken crates and scattered supplies, Elias saw potential. The cargo drones, originally meant for hauling equipment, could be reprogrammed into autonomous defense units. The damaged plasma projectors could be rigged into turret emplacements. And some of the alien salvage, strange alloys and exotic power cores, could be fused with human engineering to create something entirely new. "Listen up," Elias said, gathering the crew around him. "We're not just fixing a ship, we're building a weapon. And if we do this right, it's going to be the last thing the aliens expect." A young engineer, Lyra, raised her hand nervously. "But Elias, we barely have the materials. Most of our power cores are damaged, and the alien tech is dangerous. What if we make things worse?" Elias smiled faintly. "Then we learn that's what humans do. We take risks other species can't imagine, and we adapt faster than anyone thinks." He turned to a console, analyzing the ship's weapon schematics. The main cannon, heavily damaged in the battle, had potential. With some jury-rigged modifications, it could fire not just a single destructive blast, but multiple energy pulses simultaneously. If used correctly, it could tear through multiple enemy ships at once, something alien fleets had never seen before. "Step 1, Elias said, pointing at the schematics, retrofit the main cannon. Step 2, convert the cargo drones into turrets and defense units. Step 3, create energy shields using these auxiliary cores." He held up one of the alien cores. It pulsed faintly in his hand, humming with untapped power. The crew worked tirelessly. Day and night blurred together in the zero-gravity confines of the ship. Sparks flew as makeshift turrets whirred to life. Energy conduits were rerouted, creating unstable but functional shields. Lyra and the others learned to synchronize their movements with Elia's commands, and even Athena, the ship's AI, began processing his improvisations, her systems slowly repairing under human logic. Outside the Valkyrie, the alien scouts were still patrolling. Elias watched them through the observation window. Small, fast, relentless. They moved in precise formations, algorithms predicting every conceivable human reaction. But the humans aboard the Valkyrie were not predictable. "Ready or not," Elias muttered, "we're about to show them why humans survive where others fail." The first real test came sooner than expected. A small alien fleet approached, alerted by the Valkyrie's sudden surge of activity. The sensors blinked red, warning of incoming plasma pulses and kinetic projectiles. The survivors scrambled to their positions, hearts pounding. Elias stood at the command deck, issuing orders. "Lyra, fire the decoy drones. Let them waste their shots on empty targets. Mara, power up the auxiliary shields. Everyone else, prepare the retrofitted turrets." The alien ships attacked with precision, but the Valkyrie had become unpredictable. The decoy drones emitted energy signatures nearly identical to the main reactor, drawing enemy fire away from the ship. Sparks and molten metal streaked across the hull as plasma pulses slammed into empty corridors. For a moment, it seemed too close, too dangerous. But the human ingenuity that had rebuilt the ship was proving its worth. Elias activated the main cannon. Energy coalesced within the barrel, brighter and more powerful than anyone aboard had seen. He had rerouted the alien cores to amplify the pulse, giving it destructive potential far beyond the original design. "Hold on," he said. "This is going to hurt." The cannon fired. A massive beam split into multiple energy pulses mid-flight, striking several enemy ships at once. The alien fleet faltered, their precise algorithms unable to adapt to the chaotic assault. The crew cheered, but Elias didn't have time to celebrate. Another wave approached. He quickly analyzed the attack patterns, improvising new strategies. Gravity fields were adjusted to destabilize incoming fighters. Drones were sent to intercept and confuse the enemy. Every move was calculated, yet flexible, a perfect combination of human intuition and technological precision. Hours passed, and the battle raged on. The Valkyrie sustained damage, its hull groaning under stress, but the humans adapted faster than the aliens anticipated. They learned from every strike, predicting movements, improvising countermeasures, and turning the ship into a machine that grew stronger under pressure. During a brief lull, Elias checked on the crew. Lyra was covered in soot, her hands shaking from the stress and exertion. You really think we can win?" she asked. Elias placed a hand on her shoulder. "We don't just think, Lyra, we know. We've turned a corpse into a weapon." "The aliens aren't ready for this." Athena's voice, now clear and calm, chimed in. "Human adaptability exceeds predicted parameters, probability of victory increasing." Elias nodded. "Even the AI agrees." Night, or what passed for night in the endless vacuum, fell over the drifting nebula. The stars outside shimmered, distant and indifferent, but inside the Valkyrie, humanity burned brightly. Survivors patched wounds, recalibrated turrets, and rebuilt systems damaged during skirmishes. Every small victory fueled morale, proving that determination could bend technology in ways no algorithm could predict. Elias turned to the main cannon again. He had spent hours fine-tuning the energy output, rerouting alien tech, and reinforcing the hull around the weapon. The cannon now fired in multiple directions, capable of rapid bursts that could devastate entire squadrons of enemy ships. "Tomorrow," Elias said to the crew, "we test it for real. The aliens won't wait forever, and when they return, they'll regret ever thinking humans were weak." The crew nodded, exhaustion etched on their faces but hope shining in their eyes. For the first time since the Valkyrie had been crippled, they believed in victory. They believed in the impossible. Outside, the alien fleet lingered at the edge of sensor range, their approach slow and deliberate. They had underestimated the humans before. They would underestimate them again. Elias stared through the observation window, watching the swirling colors of the nebula. He felt the weight of the task ahead, but also the thrill of creation. He had taken a ship that was supposed to be lost and breathed life into it again. "This is just the beginning," he whispered. "The Valkyrie isn't just alive, it's hungry." The hum of the engines, weak but steady, filled the bridge. Sparks from the damaged hull traced erratic lines across metal surfaces, like veins of fire. Drones hovered, automated turrets spun into position, and the retrofitted shields flickered with renewed energy. Humanity's ingenuity was no longer theoretical. It was tangible, deadly, and unstoppable. Then the sensors blared. Another fleet of alien scouts was approaching, faster, larger, more aggressive than before. The first wave had been a test. This one was the real threat. Elias grinned. "Good. Let's show them why humans survive when no one else can." The crew moved into action. Drones zipped along the corridors, turrets activated, shields flared. The Valkyrie shuddered as Elias pushed the engines to full capacity, weaving unpredictably through the nebula's debris. Energy blasts collided with the hull, sparks flying, metal twisting, but the humans adapted instantly. Every alien maneuver was met with a human counter, sometimes instinctive, sometimes brilliantly improvised. The Valkyrie had become a living weapon, unpredictable and deadly, powered by the creativity, courage, and determination of its human crew. Hours later, after a brutal engagement, the alien scouts retreated once more, confused and battered. The Valkyrie floated through the nebula, damaged but triumphant. The crew, exhausted but exhilarated, gathered around Elias once again. He looked at each of them in turn. "We've turned a corpse into a weapon. We've survived when we were supposed to die. And tomorrow we take the fight to them." Lyra smiled, finally allowing herself to believe. I never thought I'd see the day a human could outsmart them. Elias shook his head, grinning. It's not about outsmarting, it's about refusing to be predictable. That's what makes us human. Athena's voice, now fully operational, added a note of awe. Human unpredictability, unparalleled, potential, limitless. The Valkyrie drifted silently through the nebula, a colossal starship reborn. Sparks traced erratic lines across its hull, engines hummed with cautious strength, and inside humans worked tirelessly, preparing for the battles yet to come. The aliens thought they had won. They were wrong. And in the quiet hum of the ship, Elias Marlowe prepared for the next challenge, confident that no force in the galaxy could predict or stop the ingenuity of humanity. The ardent Valkyrie glided silently through the shattered nebula, its engines thrumming with cautious strength. The ship, once a crippled husk, now carried the marks of human ingenuity. Retrofitted turrets, scavenged alien cores, improvised shields, and a main cannon that could unleash fury in multiple directions. Every corridor echoed with the determined footsteps of its crew, humans who had learned to fight, repair, and improvise in the vacuum of space. Elias Marlowe stood on the command deck, staring at the holomap of the approaching alien fleet. It was unlike anything they had faced before. Dozens of ships, perfectly coordinated, algorithms designed to predict human tactics. Yet Elias felt no fear, only anticipation. "Everyone ready?" he asked, voice calm but sharp. The crew nodded, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of consoles. Some were exhausted, others terrified, but all were prepared to fight. Lyra, now confident in her abilities, manned one of the retrofitted turrets. "We can do this," she said, voice steady. "We have to." Elias smiled faintly. "Not have to, we will." Athena, fully operational for the first time in weeks, added her voice, calm and precise. "Enemy fleet detected, tactical probability, unfavorable, human ingenuity factor, unknown," Elias chuckled. "Exactly. Let's see how they handle the unexpected." The first wave of alien fighters struck like lightning. Plasma bolts streaked through space, aimed precisely at the Valkyrie's hull. Shields flared as sparks danced along weakened metal, and the improvised turrets came alive. Drones zipped along the outer decks, intercepting projectiles and luring attackers into traps. Elias gave orders quickly, decisively. "Main cannon ready. Lyra, focus turrets on the left flank. Shields, maximize deflection on the right. Drones, intercept incoming scouts." The battle began in a chaos of light, fire, and movement. The alien ships attacked in perfect synchronization, expecting the humans to react predictably. But Elias had built unpredictability into every system. The ship twisted and turned in ways the aliens had never calculated. Turrets fired from unexpected angles. Plasma pulses bounced off improvised shields, and decoy drones drew enemy fire into harmless space. The first strike from the main cannon tore through 3 alien fighters simultaneously. The crew erupted in cheers, but Elias kept his focus. "This isn't a victory yet," he said. "Stay sharp, they'll adapt." And adapt they did. The aliens shifted formations, their algorithms recalculating. New ships moved in from the nebula's edge, their movements precise, lethal, efficient. For the first time, the Valkyrie shuddered under sustained fire. Elia's mind raced. He adjusted shield frequencies, rerouted energy from damaged engines to defensive grids, and issued new commands to drones and turrets. Every action was a gamble, every decision a test of human adaptability. In the middle of the chaos, an alarm blared. A section of the hull was breached, and a young engineer named Jaren was trapped inside a collapsing corridor. Plasma arcs danced dangerously close to him. Without hesitation, Elias grabbed a portable gravity harness and shot through the corridor. Sparks flew as debris fell around him. He reached Jaren, pulling him free just as the corridor collapsed completely. "Thanks," Jaren gasped, eyes wide. I thought I was done for." Elias grinned. Humans don't quit, not when it matters. Outside, the battle continued. The main cannon fired again, this time tearing through a squadron of alien cruisers. Energy beams split mid-flight, striking multiple targets. The alien fleet faltered, confused by the Valkyries' unpredictable tactics. They had anticipated routine maneuvers, but humans never moved in predictable patterns. Athena's voice filled the command deck. Human unpredictability exceeds initial parameters. Probability of fleet victory increasing, recalculating. Elias nodded. Good, keep recalculating. That's the only way you'll keep up with humans. The ship's hull groaned under the stress of battle, panels sparking and metal twisting. Yet every challenge made the crew stronger. Engineers rerouted power from damaged sections. Drone operators improvised new attack patterns, and Lyra adjusted turret sequences in real time, learning from every strike. Hours passed, and the battle escalated. Alien ships tried to overwhelm the Valkyrie, striking from multiple angles simultaneously. Yet the humans adapted, twisting the ship through asteroid debris, using gravity wells to destabilize enemy fighters, and exploiting the alien technology they had scavenged. Every move was calculated yet chaotic, blending instinct and intellect in ways the aliens could not predict. At one critical moment, the main cannon overheated. The ship trembled under the strain, and the alien fleet pressed the attack, sensing vulnerability. Elias acted instantly, redirecting auxiliary cores into the cannon's conduits. Sparks flew as energy surged through the weapon, but the pulse stabilized. When the cannon fired again, it obliterated a squadron of cruisers in a single, devastating beam. The aliens recoiled, their algorithms faltering under human unpredictability. They could calculate thousands of scenarios, but they could not anticipate creativity born of desperation and courage. Amid the chaos, Elias noticed a cluster of alien command ships attempting to flank the Valkyrie. Their goal was clear: take down the human-engineered giant before it could become a real threat. We're not going down without taking them with us, Elias said, determination shining in his eyes. Lyra, turrets on the flank. Athena, redirect all auxiliary power to shields and main cannon. Everyone else, brace for the push. The Valkyrie twisted, spun, and surged forward. Gravity wells created by improvised systems pulled enemy ships into vulnerable positions. Drones intercepted missiles and energy blasts. The main cannon fired continuously, its split pulses wreaking havoc on alien cruisers. Elias felt a surge of pride. The ship had been declared dead, yet here it was, alive, terrifying, and wielded by humans who refused to surrender. But the battle took its toll. Hull sections were gone, life support grids fluctuated, and energy cores were dangerously close to critical levels. The Valkyrie systems groaned, warning of imminent failure. Damage report, Elias barked. Lyra, sweat and soot streaked across her face, replied, main cannon stability at 60%, shields fluctuating, auxiliary cores at critical, but the alien fleet is breaking. Elia's eyes narrowed. Then we push harder. Humans don't survive by stopping. We survive by fighting forward. With a surge of willpower, he directed the ship through a cluster of dense asteroids. Alien ships followed blindly, colliding with debris or being shredded by improvised turrets. The Valkyrie twisted and darted like a predator, using every weakness in the alien formation. Athena's voice, calm and precise, commented, human tactics unpredictable. Enemy fleet morale declining. Probability of decisive victory increasing. Elias allowed himself a rare smile. The ship was doing more than surviving, it was dominating. The humans had taken a weapon once broken and turned it into a force the aliens could not calculate. Then came the final maneuver. Elias had identified the alien flagship, heavily armored and commanding the fleet. Destroying it would scatter the rest of the enemy force. The main cannon, already unstable, could be pushed one final time. This is it, Elias said to the crew. Everything we've built, everything we've learned comes down to this. We strike now or we lose everything. He directed the Valkyrie into a precise position, using gravity fields, asteroid cover, and auxiliary drones to shield the approach. The main cannon powered up, energy cores glowing with unstable brilliance. Every crew member held their breath. Elias activated the cannon. Energy surged through the barrel, splitting into multiple destructive pulses. The flagship, massive and imposing, erupted in flames as the pulses struck. Smaller alien ships scattered in confusion, their algorithms unable to respond to the chaos. The Valkyrie shuddered violently, hull plates sparking and twisting, but the humans had won. The alien fleet, demoralized and damaged, began retreating toward the nebula's edge. For the first time in weeks, silence fell aboard the Valkyrie. The ship drifted through the nebula, battered but victorious. Elias stood on the command deck, exhaustion heavy on his shoulders, yet a fire burned in his eyes. "We did it," he said quietly. "We turned a dead ship into a weapon, and we showed them. Humans cannot be predicted. Humans do not surrender." Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "We believed in you, Elias, but more than that, we believed in ourselves." Athena's voice, calm and almost reverent, spoke. Human potential limitless, survival probability redefined. Outside, the nebula shimmered, indifferent and eternal. Yet inside the Valkyrie, humanity had rewritten the rules. A once-fallen starship had become a living weapon, piloted by humans who refused to be defeated. Elias looked out at the stars, knowing the battle was only the beginning. Other alien fleets would come. Other threats would challenge them. But he also knew one truth: humans were adaptable, unpredictable, and relentless. And in the quiet hum of the ship, he whispered, "Let them come. We are ready." The ardent Valkyrie drifted at the edge of the nebula, battered, scarred, yet alive. The one-scrippled starship now pulsed with power, every retrofitted turret and jury-rigged shield humming with energy. Humans moved through the corridors with a mix of exhaustion and determination, their confidence tempered by the memories of battles fought and lives nearly lost. Elias Marlowe stood at the command deck, eyes fixed on the holomap. Ahead lay the alien command fleet, massive and heavily armed, moving with terrifying precision. Hundreds of ships formed a wall of firepower, designed to crush anything in their path. "They've come for us," Elias said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. "This is it, the final test." Lyra, manning one of the upgraded turrets, nodded. "Then let's make sure they regret it." Athena's voice was calm, almost reverent. "Human strategies unpredictable. Enemy fleet strength overwhelming. Probability of survival low. Human ingenuity factor maximal." Elias smiled faintly. "That's why they'll lose." The alien fleet advanced, a wall of darkness cutting across the nebula's glowing gas clouds. Sensors detected dozens of energy spikes, fighters, cruisers, capital ships, all moving in perfect harmony. The Valkyrie's shields flared as the first wave of plasma bolts struck, sparks dancing along the hull. "Status report," Elias barked. Lyra answered, voice steady. "Main cannon charged, turrets online, auxiliary shields holding, drones in position. We're ready." Elias took a deep breath. "Then let's give them something they'll never forget." The Valkyrie moved, twisting unpredictably through the dense asteroid field within the nebula. Alien sensors attempted to track them, but every human maneuver defied their calculations. Gravity wells were used to destabilize enemy fighters. Drones zipped through enemy lines, drawing fire and creating chaos. The ship's retrofitted turrets unleashed precise, unexpected strikes, hitting multiple targets simultaneously. Plasma bolts and energy beams collided with improvised shields, flickering but holding. Sparks ran across the hull. Every panel, every conduit seemed to tremble under the strain. Yet the humans inside moved with precision, improvising, reacting, adapting. Elias activated the main cannon. Energy surged through its barrel, splitting into multiple destructive pulses. Alien cruisers exploded in blinding bursts of light. Smaller ships scattered in confusion, their perfectly programmed formations failing against unpredictable human tactics. "Focus fire on the left flank," Elias commanded. "Drones, intercept and distract the right. Shields maintain maximum deflection." The battle raged for hours. The Valkyrie's hull groaned under sustained fire. Every hit threatened to breach life support or overload power conduits. Yet with every challenge, humans adapted. Engineers rerouted power, Lyra recalibrated turrets, and Athena integrated human intuition into her calculations, predicting moves even before Elias commanded them. At one point, an alien frigate tore through the outer hull, sending debris into the corridors. Crew members scrambled, sealing breaches and stabilizing pressure. Jaren, the young engineer saved in an earlier skirmish, worked tirelessly, rerouting damaged circuits and improvising repairs in zero gravity. "Elias," Lyra called, voice urgent. "They're moving the flagship into firing range." Elias' eyes narrowed. The alien flagship was enormous, heavily shielded and bristling with weapons. Destroying it would scatter the fleet, ending the battle. But it would take every ounce of ingenuity and courage to strike it down. "Main cannons are only shot," Elias said. "We'll hit it with everything we've got." He calculated the trajectory, factoring in gravity wells, debris, and enemy maneuvers. Auxiliary power cores glowed bright as he rerouted energy to the cannon. Sparks flew along the hull. The ship trembled, but the cannon held. "Brace yourselves," Elias said. The cannon fired. Energy surged into a single concentrated pulse, splitting mid-flight into multiple beams. The alien flagship erupted in a massive explosion, sending shockwaves across the enemy fleet. Smaller ships collided or retreated, algorithms failing to respond to the sudden chaos. "Now," Elias shouted. "Full attack, target anything that moves." Turrets unleashed torrents of plasma. Drones swarmed enemy fighters, drawing fire and creating openings. Auxiliary shields flared, absorbing concentrated attacks. Every human on the Valkyrie moved as one, improvising, adapting, reacting. The aliens were relentless, but the humans were unpredictable. Hours passed. The nebula glowed with explosions and energy bursts, debris drifting like deadly snow. Yet slowly, the alien fleet began to break apart. Their formations faltered. Their algorithms, designed to predict perfection, could not anticipate chaos born of human intuition. Finally, the last of the alien command ships attempted retreat. Elias allowed the Valkyrie to twist unpredictably, blocking escape routes, while turrets and drones struck with devastating precision. One by one, the ships fell or scattered into the void. The battlefield grew silent. The Valkyrie floated through the nebula, battered and scorched, yet victorious. Humans had turned a fallen giant into a weapon capable of reshaping the course of a war. Elias stood on the command deck, breathing heavily, eyes scanning the stars. Around him, the crew moved quietly, exhausted but alive. Lyra smiled at him, sweat and soot streaked across her face. We did it," she whispered. Elias nodded. "We turned the impossible into reality. They thought we were weak. They were wrong." Athena's voice, calm and clear, filled the bridge. "Human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability exceed all known parameters. Probability of victory, redefined." Elias allowed himself a small smile. "Even the AI understands. Humans cannot be predicted. Humans do not surrender." The ship groaned as power systems stabilized. Hull repairs were underway, and energy cores hummed steadily. The Valkyrie had survived when it should have been destroyed. It had become more than a starship. It was a symbol of human resilience and creativity. In the quiet aftermath, Elias gathered the crew. "We've done more than survive," he said. "We've proven that humans can take the worst, adapt faster than anyone expects, and fight back with courage and ingenuity. Today, we didn't just win a battle, we sent a message. The crew nodded solemnly. They had seen fear, chaos, and near death. They had improvised, fought, and survived. They had turned a fallen giant into a living weapon. Lyra looked out at the nebula, her eyes wide with wonder. "Do you think they'll come back?" she asked. Elias shook his head, though a part of him expected it. "Let them. If they return, they'll face humans at their best, and we'll be ready." Athena added, "Human potential limitless, alliance strength increased, future threats recalibrated." The Valkyrie floated silently, engines humming with life. Its scars were visible, a reminder of past battles, but its power was undeniable. Humans had proven that even in the darkest moments, ingenuity, courage, and determination could turn the tide. Elias took a deep breath, staring at the stars stretching infinitely before them. "They said humanity was fragile," he whispered. "They never imagined how brilliant we could be when cornered." Outside, the nebula shimmered, indifferent and eternal. But within the Valkyrie, humanity burned brightly, a beacon of resilience, adaptability, and relentless ingenuity. The fallen giant had been reborn, and humanity's legacy as creators, innovators, and warriors had been written in the stars. No fleet in the galaxy could predict what humans would do next, and that was exactly the advantage Elias and his crew needed.